Well, hello. Welcome to the Upsider. That's we are.
Oh, are we dancing? Okay.
At
All right,
least today.
I'll dance with you a little bit.
At
Okay.
least today. Welcome. We are
Oh, that
the
was a Batman
Upsiders,
reference. Oops.
Time Traveler's Guide to the Present, letting you know some of the most exciting solutions going on to the biggest problems and what you may see as issues, we see as solutions here on the Upsiders.
Mm.
As always, I'm one of your hosts, Los, the artist formerly known as your friendly neighborhood Los. And as always, I'm joined by.
Mr. Bertram.
Oh,
Mr. Bertram Esquire.
oh, okay.
Uh, the constable. Constable Bertram.
Constable,
I
not the
don't know.
czar. Czar
Oh,
Bertram.
oh my gosh. Okay. The Commodore. That's what I want. That's what I've always wanted to be known as, the Commodore. That's my new name. Bertram's
Commodore
dead.
Bertram. Oh,
Bertram's dead.
we're not
It's
killing
just a
anyone today.
Commodore.
But we're glad you joined us today. We have exciting innovations to discuss with you in the world of education.
Mm.
Bertram happens to be somewhat of an educator, at least in title. That's what they say in his job description. No,
Somewhat.
but he's a well-respected educator.
What have I been doing the last 12 years?
That's true. Has it been 12
Man.
years now? Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't it I know this is strange, but I'm actually not even really that close to 40 yet. But if you look at my face, no one ever thinks I'm under the age of like 48. And I tell people it's because I've been working in education for 12 years, and I know there's y'all don't get teacher memes in your algorithms, but have you seen the Dumbledore one, Lowe's?
No, I have not.
So they got old who was it, Jude Law, who played Dumbledore
In the yeah.
in Fantastic Beasts,
Mhm.
and they're like, dang, Jude Law's a pretty handsome young looking man in the last movie. And then they go back and they're like, wait a minute, we have a picture of Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies, and it's only like 10 years later and he looks like he's a million years old. And they were like, that doesn't make sense. And they're like, nah, it does. He's been a teacher. Like, that's what happens. It ages you 100 years when you've been teaching for a while. And that's why I look the way I do. So don't there's no somewhat a teacher, somewhat in education, Los. Like, I'm this face has weathered 60 years of education in a very short amount of time, my friend. Should have a little respect.
Put some respect on your name. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. And I have been around long enough to remember Bertram pre-education. And
I was happier.
you were happier. You
I was
were
naive.
had a just all brown facial
Yeah.
hair. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't even seen the back of my head. We ain't
Oh
don't
no.
ever man, I look like John Cena back there.
I need I need
You don't
that
even know what
app.
I'm you
I
don't know
need
what I'm
that
talking about because you didn't watch the Rumble.
I need the app. Face back. Remember that from what's that movie? What's that
No, I
movie
don't know.
with Mark Wahlberg and
Brother, I don't watch Mark
me
Wahlberg
neither,
movies.
but that was what was that movie? Mark Wahlberg and I can't remember. Why
Four
am I blank?
Brothers. Oh, that's a Mark Wahlberg movie, right?
Yeah. Um
Donnie's better.
Will
Oh,
Ferrell. What was
the
Will
other
Ferrell
guys?
and the other guys, yeah. Will
Oh, did
Ferrell developed this app called Faceback where if you know someone's face, it could it could tell you what the back of their head looks like.
oh. Okay. Man, that's a deep cut. I like that movie, and I don't remember that at all.
Okay, but
This episode's gone off the rails, though, so I'm
enough
done.
of
Maybe
that.
I'll dance again.
That's enough. Yeah, let's start dancing. Let's get into it.
It's
So,
good to see you on the upside.
what we like to talk about here on the upside is we know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and what you're presented with most of the time are the problems, the issues, but we're over here bringing you the solutions, not just of what's to come, but what's already going on. Some of the great work that so many great people are doing. The Upsiders, we're here to celebrate that. And today we're talking about innovations in education. So, Bertram, could you shed some more light on some of the good things happening in education? What were some of the things you found and some of the things that you may already have some experience with as your time as an educator?
Um, okay, so the first thing I would like to think about is mission and vision. I think that's always a really good place to start, and education is a really big block. And here's my question to you, Los, because you're something of an outsider. I mean, you went to school. You may have loved it, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a guess that it was like prison for you. Is that correct?
Not prison. Not prison, prison adjacent. Now, you know what? Although I had my own paths and
Was
challenges and
school traumatic for you?
um it wasn't traumatic. It just wasn't tailored to the way I learned, the way I
Mm,
process the world. So there were
okay.
some challenges there because of that sort of cookie cutter, one size fits all approach, which, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
So I'm never one to
so
vilify things because I see the value in
you're
education.
right.
I always champion education and going to school and all of that.
So as we look at the upside, one of the things I'd like you to consider is what do you feel is the mission of education? Like what are we supposed to be doing with this?
The mission of education. So,
Yeah, what's the goal? What should we be doing? Because everybody has an interpretation of what we're supposed to be doing, and are we successful at what we're supposed to be doing? So what would you describe, like why we got these kids in this building all this for 12 years?
yeah, to try and
Is it babysitting? Is it giving kids a place to go so the parents can work? Are we supposed to be
it's
training these kids
become
to
that.
read? Are we supposed to be pushing these kids towards higher education? Are we supposed to be equipping these kids with the skills to exist in the workforce? Like what are we supposed to be doing? What is our
Yeah.
mission? What are our goals here?
I think the mission has always been equipping them with the skills so they could ultimately develop into becoming contributors in society. And a lot of the
Positive
pathway,
contributors?
positive contributors.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, are you considered contributors if it's negative? I think that's something else, right?
Yeah, I
I'm
would
not
say you're
sure.
taking yeah, I would say you're taking away.
Yeah.
You're a
Uh,
detractor.
yeah. So you could be key contributors to society. So that could come in the form of ultimately going to higher education. Uh, but ultimately, yeah, just having those key skills, which have traditionally been known to be reading, writing, math, and some science background, social studies, what they used to call them. Do they still?
Calculus?
Yeah. Well, math that weighs into that, but
You supposed to be doing calculus?
yeah,
Okay.
depends on the state
Yeah.
here in the US if you're listening internationally.
Mm.
But yeah, that in a nutshell, that's what I would say is the mission.
Okay. I think that's healthy, and this is the upside. So I don't want to talk about. I don't want to waste too much time talking about all the issues that we have in education, but I think based on what I just heard you said, like it's important to define an interpretation. Can we get a specific interpretation of what we're supposed to be doing? Because with these big school districts, that mission can get lost and a lot of people can have a different interpretation of what we're supposed to be doing, and because the education system is so expansive, oftentimes it can get off track, and it takes sometimes 20 years to realize you're off the track and how to get back on what you were doing. It's very easy to get away from your mission. Does that make sense? um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so my school was just visited by Sam Chaltain a couple weeks ago. He was a writer for the New York Times. He was a writer for the Washington Post. My kids had him on our podcast, Voices of Indianapolis, where they got to interview him. Losa was an amazing interview. I retired from ever doing the podcast. The kids did such an outstanding job of recording it, doing the audio engineering, being the host. All I did was sit in the background, have finished my coffee. They did an outstanding job, and Sam Chaltain, with his journalistic background and wealth of education, he's sort of made it his mission in life to sort of define what we should be doing. And so, in the show notes, I put in a really good. Not it's not a TED talk. It's like a just a a showcase where it's because it's not TED. So he gives a speech about the future of learning. And he said, in theory, what we should be doing is we need to teach children what it means to be free. And I said, that's a really interesting way to talk about what we're supposed to be doing. Because realistically, if I like, to what extent should I make you a good reader? Do I need to make you a 12th grade reading level to be able to get out there and be successful in the world? How much math? Because I made the joke about calculus, but it is something that we lose sight of in education. Like, well, if this kid doesn't know calculus, how's he supposed to be successful? And so we have to define success. Like, how much on that scale of math is, where can we stop, where can we say this is the bar? And you mentioned social studies, right? And I think you said, is it still called social studies? It's called a bunch of things, man. I think social studies encompasses government, history, economics, a lot of things like that. And so Sam in the video says, I think all of that, I could put a definition on all that and say, like, it is our job to teach kids what it means to be free. So, how do you define freedom? So, in the video, Sam says, freedom is the space to follow one's own passion and to feel undeniably bound in that web of inescapable mutuality. It's a civic order, a global ecosystem. And so for me, because of the work that he's doing, and he did some really outstanding documentaries. There's one on PBS, and then you could find it on the streaming sites. I watched it. There's another one out there where he's kind of going in education, studying what are the upsides, what is the beautiful work that's being done. I think it was in South Carolina where he went to go visit two schools. 180 hours. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Um, but I like this idea of what we should be doing is we need to allow students the freedom and flexibility to pursue their passions, but only to the extent that you're not escaping the rest of us, right? Like, you are going to be able to go out and follow your passions as long as you remember that whatever you're doing, you're still a member of this community, and you need to make those necessary adjustment a set you need to make the necessary um, changes to go, the adjustments, that's what I was trying to say, the necessary adjustments to make sure that the rest of us are uplifted by your work. And so I think that's a really good place to set the bar of this conversation and say, are we doing that? How are we making strides in what Sam's vision was?
Mm. So let me ask, and maybe this is a bit abstract here, and I'm asking almost in your opinion, through your perspective, is that because I feel like we often get trapped into boxing everyone into grades, right? So when I'm thinking of free, or no, even if I take a step back and you look at maybe people who didn't finish the full path, right? They didn't graduate high school. You often hear, oh, this is what they were able to do with a sixth grade or seventh grade education. So are we still, when we look at what's ideal there, what's considered free, are we still tying ourselves to how much we finished in terms of completed this grade, that grade, and the other?
Man, that's a really great way to think about it. I know in Indiana, we're starting to look more at competencies. My school's been working with XQ, which is it was started by Steve Jobs' widow, I think, and
Lorraine, yeah.
yeah, and we look at these competencies, and we're trying to do something along the lines of competency based grading, which is not necessarily grade levels. If you look at some of the competencies, there's problem seeking, problem solving, synthesis. Are you able to synthesize information on a mastery level? And if you go to the XQ website, there's all sorts of rubrics there where it really helps you. There's sub competencies. It really helps you define where you are on this scale of I think it's developing, emerging, applying, or it was proficiency, right? And
Mhm.
are you able to apply this information? to what you're doing. And what I really love on there is, and some of the work that I've been doing with the kids is community advocacies on there and community mobilization. And I think those two are very often neglected. So we've been really building up some apprenticeships and internships and community service projects that focus on community advocacy, because that is not something that they can tie into a grade level, though. And so there's some really innovative work being done in our state trying to change what you just mentioned.
Mm. Yeah. And often, yeah, something that always often gets championed when we look at modern education is like project-based learning, right? Um, ty tying some of these
Los
competencies into real world experiences.
Los so many people, I'd say about 85% of the people who use the term project based learning have never done project based learning. They just think they've done project based learning. And the truth is they haven't done project oriented learning either. They just do projects. Just because you have your kids make a toothpick diorama, something that's a project. That don't mean it's project based learning.
So what are we getting wrong there?
Um, they try and so project based learning is, I give you something, I give you some sort of project to do, and that's how you learn all the competencies. Whereas what what happens a lot is they say, here, go read this textbook about Abraham Lincoln, go do a test on Abraham Lincoln, we're going to do all these homework works and these worksheets and these readings, and then at the end we're going to draw a picture of Abraham Lincoln, and that's the project. That's project based learning. You're like, no, it's how do you learn about Abraham Lincoln through the building of something, or
Mm.
you're going to create something new, and that teaches you about project based learning, and that's hard to do, and especially if you're in a traditional school where they already have lesson plans that somebody made 10 years ago, and yeah, well, the work's already been done 10 years ago, so you better, hey, go do exactly what this teacher did, and just follow the lesson plan. And lesson project based learning doesn't really have old lesson plans. That's you have to come up with new projects every year usually.
Ah, I see. So there's a sort of dead end there.
Yeah, you can't be lazy and do project based learning. It doesn't. They don't. Those two don't go together. It's hard. It's not easy.
That's interesting. Okay, so growing apprenticeship. So how is that different than what's currently going on now?
Um, I think the model's starting to change. I think we still have a lot of schools that are pushing kids towards college and saying, what you said, right, is that you have to fit inside this model, you have to fit inside this box, and we're going to put all these kids inside this box because it's safe, and that's gonna put them on a trajectory towards a good life, which is college. And especially what we're noticing post COVID is, hey man, there's most of these kids aren't fitting in this box anymore. Some of them are, doing some really amazing things, and some kids need a lot more support. But this kid in this box, you're like, dang, we used to be able to fit 70% of the kids in this box, and now we're only fitting 8% into this box based on test scores. And so we need to make some serious adaptations to customize learning and do interest-based learning. And so that's where internships and apprenticeships come in, is trying to build these programs where kids can get to the places that they want to study, right, their specific fields of interest, and that comes with getting them one-on-one internships or small group internships and apprenticeships, so they get more hands-on learning. And then once they're in that field, then you could teach them English and math and social studies and science through that lens. But you can't do it the opposite way, where you have them sit there and read a book and then they go to the internship, because then is the book about the internship? If you want to be a wrestler, go be a wrestler and then have some books that'll help you and support you. But it's very hard to do it the opposite way.
Yeah. Well, and it gives students alternative paths, and I hate to use that word, right? Alternative paths than the traditional go to college, do this, that sort of fits, that makes space for vocational training, right? Post,
Mm.
secondary education, which isn't too much. I mean, it isn't showcased, right? The way
Mm,
that other countries do. I think I've read uh, before that we often look at maybe European models, right? And I know
mm,
you're going to get into this a little later, but you look at Germany, you look at Switzerland, the Nordic countries. Most of those, a lot of those countries pay for post-secondary education. But what we miss is that a huge percentage of those students are actually going into what we know as vocational training, which they
mm.
see it a little differently there because there's so many different paths. But we see that as like I hate to say like second level, like traditional college and university are seen as like, oh yeah, that's the logical next step. But if you choose a different way, it's like a step below that. But it's
Mm.
much more holistic in some of those other um different areas, specifically in Europe.
If you could go back and coach eighth grade Los, what sort of skills, where was your mindset in eighth grade? What sort of skills did you have? What were you thinking about doing? And I'm saying this asking old man Los right now, because if I ask eighth grade Los and say, what do you want to do with your life? Oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But can you sort of decode that kid's interests and desires and say, what do you think that kid wanted to do?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think that kid would have been good at?
It's interesting you asked that because I felt myself, I'm in and the personal level, I'm in somewhat of a transitionary period where I'm having to tell myself, hey, you really have to go for what you really want to do in
Yeah.
life. And so I've
It's
thought,
almost over, Los. You and I are old, man.
yeah,
Like
we're
we're gonna
80,
be
80.
65 tomorrow.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, so I'm headed towards retirement age here, but
Yeah,
Social
me too.
Security is going to kick in if the government doesn't take that away from me. Um, but but yeah, I've been thinking about, hey, 13-year-old Los, because I think this has been attributed to like Bill Gates or something. I can't remember if he actually said this, but like what you were interested in the age of 13 is what you probably should commit to doing, in
Mm,
life. And that's not to say that's consistent across everyone because so many kids don't know what they're going to
yeah.
do, but in terms of that passion, there's always kernels there in terms of
Are you able to make a good assessment? I'm sure he wasn't, but that's why we're talking to you because you're the expert. Was there something that that kid was insanely good at? Where was he a genius? Because one of the things we talk about at our school is every kid is a genius. It's our job as educators to unlock that genius and
yeah.
cultivate it. What was he a genius at that he probably didn't even know?
Oh, well, I was getting to that point. Sorry, I was so long-winded,
Oh yeah,
but
man, please. No,
13
I'm trying to coach eighth grade Los
year
right
old
now.
Los, yeah, he was in eighth grade because yeah, I don't turn 14 till the summer. But yeah,
So
eighth
you were
grade
one of the
Los,
youngest kids in your class.
yeah.
Hey,
Eighth
statistically, man, that's hard. Like yeah, you were playing in the NBA and you were
was
a
Bronny
high school
James.
player. Yeah, you were Bronny James.
But no, eighth grade Los spent a lot of the time, and yeah, full disclosure, I almost failed eighth grade. That was the first time I like struggled. And it was just like I had to go to this like lunch program where you like did makeup work. Um,
Mm,
and it was kind of paradoxical for so many of my teachers because yeah, I was widely considered one of the smartest kids out there. Not to toot my own,
interesting.
but I would just wasn't performing
Beep
as
beep.
such. Yeah, but no, I spent a lot of time like drawing and trying to design sneakers. Like I was creating logos, I was
Mm,
creating sketches, I was doing a lot of that. Um, I remember I got really interested into sneakers. I even um I even wrote my own like sneaker contract um with Nike because I wanted to be a basketball player when I was 13. And so I always envisioned, okay, this is what it was going to look like. I was going to sign for Nike. I was going to do this. This was going to be my first collection. And it's funny because recently I've been doing a lot of the same thing. I've been designing merch. I've been yeah, I'm a graphic designer. I really am now. But like um putting that more into practice and making that my actual life and my actually life's work has yeah, that's what I've been embarking on. So a lot of that was existing in 13-year-old Los, and it was culminating there. And yeah, so if we
Mm.
look at eighth grade Los, kind of looks a lot like what I'm doing in my off time or when I'm wasting time, quote unquote wasting time now.
That's funny that that's how you see it.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah,
I
in a
could listen.
nutshell.
Los, I could have listened to you talk for another hour easily, like getting this story about Lil Los and his sneaker deal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
full
there was.
contract. It was a few pages long too.
I was just sitting here trying to read the whole autobiography, and all you gave me was a chapter. I need another chapter, Los. But
But yeah, you
um,
asked the right question there because yeah,
geez, man, that was
I was a challenge student. Yeah.
after at the end of this, you and I need to start talking about writing a book about you, man. What's fascinating to me, so I am in a fellowship with the Started Up Foundation, and Don Wettrick has been just, man, that dude does the Lord's work. He was a teacher for a really long time. He
Mhm.
wanted to get into teaching. I believe his dad was a outstanding teacher as well. And when Don said he wanted to get into teaching, this is a story he told us, so I hope I'm allowed to share it. Don is he said, as long as you teach um, 20 years and don't teach the same year 20 times, like, don't be that teacher that teaches 1 year 20 times.
Mm,
Be the teacher who
mhm,
teaches 20 different years.
mm.
And in teaching we see a lot where a teacher will come in and just make their lesson plans and do it over and over and over again, so when it's time for them to retire, they're still doing a lesson plan from the 80s lows.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time, and Don is just this outstanding um, teacher turned entrepreneur, and he teaches kids entrepreneurship skills. And that might be where we need to put the ball, Los, is that we might need to build entrepreneurial spirit in kids, because it's empowering. And that's what I hear that eighth grade Los needed to be told, I think, is I'm sure somebody probably was like, why are you sitting here drawing these sneakers? Like, that's a waste of your time. You should be doing your homework, Los. And I bet some people probably treated you like you were dumb. And you're sitting over here, you're not paying attention. It's like, this dude's doing his passion. Had you got an entrepreneurial teacher put in front of you, like I've seen that kid before, Los, who designs the sneakers, and now that kid's starting his own fashion brand. And these are a lot of kids, and so we were just at the
Yeah.
Youth Innovation Leadership Caucus at the State House, and those kids are in control of their destinies. And I just think that's sad how many kids there are out there like you who are told that they need to focus on their schoolwork and not on the things that they're passionate about. And that might be where we're having the biggest problem. And I think we need to start with what kids are passionate about and then build the curriculum around that. And we'll see much more successful, responsible, confident kids.
Yeah. And I think this is loaded, but like, what does that look like?
So if eighth grade Los was my student, I
Mm,
would have, I work as an advisor, which is something like a guidance counselor, except I keep my kids all day. So like I'm the only teacher they have. Their work is asynchronous. So it's not like I'm teaching them math. They're taking their stuff online and they're reading and learning that way. Then I'm sort of an all day advisor. And so I would talk to Los and I would say, like, yeah, it seems like you're really passionate about these sneakers and things. So I'm gonna put you in Introduction to Entrepreneurship, and
mm,
Don teaches that class virtually. He's an outstanding teacher. His videos are maybe my favorite thing about the school year. And he's going to put you in some projects with
mm.
the Started Up Foundation where you learn, and it's a lot of writing. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of financial literacy. It's a lot about explaining your passion behind sneakers, and then you're going to enter a contest, Los, where you make a business pitch like Shark Tank, and if you win, Los, you win $25,000 in seed funding to build your sneaker franchise.
Oh,
And then I'm going to go into the community, and I'm going to go find people like Scott Lingle and Hunter Beal, who, according to Don, are also doing the Lord's work, right? And they are advocates to really mentor kids who have entrepreneurship skills. And I'm going to have you get into a program with those two guys, and they're going to help you with the math side of your business and helping you with the legal side of your business. And they're going to be advisors, and they're also going to have some seed funding for you for your business. And because you're going to be passionate about those things, I'm going to wait till I see that you're locked in and that's really something you want to do. And if it turns out that you started doing this work and you realize that entrepreneurship is not for you, and maybe you don't actually want to run your own sneaker business and you just want the artwork, and you're like, I just kind of like designing shoes, well, then maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to put you in some sort of other art, some sort of art class or something that just helps you with the design side. Um, but my goal is I'm going to find whatever captures your passion and makes you a motivated learner. And then I'm going to build the English and the science and the social studies and the math. I'm going to build it around that and be like, oh, so you're going to need to learn this in order to be good at this. And you're going to go, oh, please put me in that class. And I know this because it happens every day. And this is what I do every single day. And that's all of a sudden you got Los, who's just like, well, maybe I want to start my own sneaker business in a couple years, or maybe I want to go to college because I think I really need more help with the financial side, or I want the connections. And so you're going to decide where do you want to go next, which gets us into like the Swiss model and stuff, because you can always go to either one. You could either go explore more the career side, or you can go to the college side. But hopefully, I got you believing in yourself, and I think that's really what we should be doing.
yeah. I think little Los would be happy with that. Well, and I'm also thinking too, I've watched a lot of, oh, we've talked about this off air, but a lot of European, I call it football, but soccer, we know it. And there's
Thank you.
always this
I'm
emphasis,
a dumb American.
but yeah, there's this system of academies, right? So you take these kids from, they could be as young as like 8, 9 years old, and they're showing, yeah, skills, talent, right? And so you put them into these academies where you sort of cultivate them, develop them further to maybe one day they become professionals. And along the way, they're being schooled, they're being, yeah, they're just being nurtured in that way.
Mm,
So here in the States, why, if you're looking at it maybe from a capitalist standpoint, you could get the private sector involved there, right? Nike could show up to some of these competitions and say, "Whoa, that 13-year-old kid, he has some talent. Obviously, we're not going to
mhm.
hire him, child labor
Yeah.
laws, but maybe we could put in some,
Internships get around those, Los.
yeah, internships, scholarship programs where
Yeah.
you partner with, I don't know, Portland State University, right? Since it's
Mm,
close by, and help these kids go through and put them through this little feeder system, in which you're constantly churning out more and more talent, while at the same time you're helping these students develop their own skills and thrive and discover their freedom, as you
mm.
started the show with.
And I think that's what I want to impart people with is that we got to get kids in front of those community mentors and those people that you were just talking about. There's a really good video I watched by that. He's like a salesman guru, like Alex Hormozy. He always wears like a nose patch. You know who that guy is?
I don't know, maybe.
He gave like a New Year's resolution YouTube video that I was watching while I was working out. One of the things he talked about is, you need to surround yourself, like who are the five people that you most compare yourself to, not who are the five people you are closest with, but who has a similar vision, similar goals that you do. Who are those five people? And they could be at any level. They could be on the same exact level as you, or they could be a few steps ahead of you. They could be where you ultimately you want to be. And I think it's really important for kids to be able to have those people around them to see their vision come to life of, oh, this is what I want to do. So I love that you're talking about like, hey, these people got to go do something with Nike, and then Nike, now they're on Nike's radar, right? And now they
Mhm.
can have these community mentors in front of them, who can help guide them and get them where they ultimately need to go. And that's what we try and do with our internship program, is connecting kids with people who are just as passionate about the things that they want. So for me, I'm gonna try and put you in front of somebody who makes sneakers.
Yeah.
Man.
So you kept hinting about it, but we haven't shared this yet. So what
Hmm.
is the Swiss model?
Oh, okay. So I put a link in the show notes. Um, I've been fortunate enough to get into some meetings about some of the higher level goals for the state of Indiana. And I went to this Mission 41K summit, where they talked about how do we make new net jobs, 41,000 new net jobs in Indiana by a certain year. And that's our goal. Because if we don't take care on educating our kids and getting them in a position to follow those passions and follow those new career opportunities, they're going to leave the state and go somewhere else. And that's not good for the sustainability of our ecosystem. And so there's some really good people in the show notes. I put a article in there from TechPoint. TechPoint's done some really outstanding work. They've worked with, I think, CEMETS iLAB, I think the Richard Fairbanks Foundation, and so they're all in this together doing some really outstanding work to try and adopt the state of Indiana to try and adopt the Swiss model and transition us to more of their model of education, which is by end of eighth grade, you kind of understand where a kid might want to go, which I think looking back, you'll probably agree based on what skills you already had, Los. Could I, in theory, know which track to put eighth grade Los on in terms of post high school life? Do you think I would have known whether you'd be a better fit for college or maybe some career work after graduation? Do you think that, what's the percentage there? Like, it's not 50-50, 50% college, 50% career, Los, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
where you going after eighth grade, Los?
Oh, if I were to skip high school?
No, no, you're still in high school, but now
Yeah.
it's about like we
Yeah,
have
probably
those.
career stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so what we would do is we would talk to eighth grade Los, and we would say like, I think right now we need to start preparing you for a career. And so when you're in high school, you take your core classes, but you're also taking some of these career competency courses and really trying to build out that side of your skill set. And what Indiana's trying to do is they're trying to create some of these career clusters that we can put kids in based on interests and skill set, and giving them community mentors who can sort of guide them in that practice. So for example, banking is one of the career clusters. So we would find some of these bankers and wealth management people who we can partner with to teach this content to high schoolers. Now, you can take a course like financial literacy or wealth management in high school. Los, no matter what you want to do, if you want to go to college or if you want to pursue a career, do you think every kid should probably take wealth management?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone should take wealth management.
And that's what I like about this path, right? Is that if you go into this career cluster in high school and you decide, you know what, I don't know if this is for me, or you know what, maybe I do want to go to college because now I'm a sophomore in high school and I think I have figured out what I want to do. And so I think I'm ready for college. You can always switch to the other side and say, you know what, I'm going to start preparing for college. And now that wealth management stuff that you learned, it's not lost. It wasn't a waste of your time because you just said every kid should learn wealth management. So it's very easy to switch. And so that's what the Swiss model is, right? Is that they put you on these two tracks, this college track or this career track, and when you finish high school, you can go straight to that path. Or if you want to switch, you can always you still get a base level of skill so that you can jump over and say, I'm going to switch to the other side. And then once you finish that level of post grad, you can stay on that path or you can switch again. So like I've got my bachelor's degree, I'm gonna stay through and I'm gonna get my master's degree, or you can jump over to the other side and get those industry certifications and apprenticeships. And so what I think I appreciate most is the level of support that we would give young people to have a better skill set for whatever they want to go to, whatever competencies they want to learn. And then they're more prepared. Because I think what's really hard for students now is they can't visualize what they're going to do with this information, man. And I'm sure you felt that a million times in high school as you were doing some math. And I bet you were one of those kids who was every kid who said, man, what am I ever going to use this for? Right? We got to get kids to stop saying that, Los, because we have to show them what they're going to use it for.
Mhm. Well, and I wasn't though. I I was a, I almost was a walking contradiction because
We
I
all
am,
we all are. We
I
all
am,
are.
I wasn't rejecting any of this, my education path. It's just that I wasn't aware that it wasn't compatible with the way I was. So
Mm,
it was just, if I fell short, I was, oh man, what am I gonna do to get this together? Oh man,
yeah,
I wish, if I could fit this in, that'd be great. But man, I really have to get on track, or I need to do this, I need to do that. So I wasn't like that, but I understand there's so many people who are, and we do, to your point around, especially math, you often see that. It's like, where will I use this in the real world? Like we need to demonstrate, it needs to be obvious that
yeah,
whether it's like doing your taxes or if you're starting a business or just looking at things that deal with probability and things of that
yeah.
nature, like we need to demonstrate that and yeah, highlight that for them.
And I think like you are an example of what we could be doing better, right? Is because if you don't know this, I say this probably every show. Los is the wisest person I know. Los
Stop.
is almost godlike in terms of omnipotence of just he knows everything. He probably knows what some family in Kansas is eating for dinner right now. Los, every time I have a question for Los, it's almost like he knew I was going to ask it, and he's the most brilliant human being I've ever met. I've never caught him off guard where he's like, "Oh no, I don't know anything about that." If I just say, "Man, Los, well, what was happening? 1876 seems like a real crazy year, right?" And Los just starts telling me all the stuff that happened in 1876. He's a
Stop it.
brilliant, brilliant man, um, and yet I feel like you know somebody in high school could have done a much better job of putting you on a path and giving you guided focus because like you have so many skills that like surely you should have been president of the world by now at this point. It's like all I can say is somebody might not have noticed all the brilliant things that you do and said like, hey, I noticed that you're good at all these things, like have you ever considered this, and kind of gave you those experiences and opportunities to lets you use all of your talents doing one thing. Does that make sense? Do you feel
Mhm.
that way? Like, man, why couldn't somebody just come in and give me some focus?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
You have the power of a laser, but somebody you got to focus that beam, and I think that's what we need. Some of these career experts that that they're building in Switzerland, and we're trying to build here. I have this article. It was written January 23rd of 2024. It says Indiana leaders form coalition to build and grow youth apprenticeship. More than 100 Indiana leaders, corporate CEOs, university presidents, K through 12 superintendents, state government officials. Like we are truly trying to use the top brass in the state of Indiana to solve this problem. They have joined a coalition to develop a statewide modern youth apprenticeship system in Indiana as one potential solution to the state's mounting workforce crisis. Los, the corporations, the companies in Indiana, they want skilled employees. They are begging to have employees, and they're going to pay them. and
Mhm.
we're struggling to develop the workforce, especially with our youth, to be able to get these kids into those high paying jobs that we know they want. So on this, the employees want the good jobs and the companies want good employees, and so we're just having the issue where we're just losing track of them in high school and college, similar to what I just said. Like, we got to help focus
Mhm.
those skill sets. And so that group of that coalition kicked off a 10-month implementation lab referred to as an iLAB. It's an intense collaboration that results in a comprehensive statewide plan to increase the number of available modern youth apprenticeships. The youth apprenticeship model allows 11th grade high school students to participate in a 3-year paid work and learn program. It culminates in a high school diploma, college credit, and an industry credential, while at the same time preparing students for in-demand careers. Indiana's long-standing talent shortages worsened during the pandemic and are projected to increase due to an aging population and only a 63% labor force participation rate. Los, you and I'm almost gone, man. I'm almost Biden's age. Like, this ain't gonna concern me. I'll be off this planet, but we got to do something for our nation's youth. Um,
Biden's age. Come on.
uh, while on the trip, Claire Fidian Green, who I got to listen to, she gave an amazing talk. She was outstanding at this Mission 41K summit. President and CEO of the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation and iLAB co-chair announced a $180,000 grant that would allow CEMETS to host an iLAB in Indiana. CEMETS iLAB Indiana will support stakeholders working to scale modern youth apprenticeship programs both in the Indianapolis region and statewide by making Indiana a leader in work-based learning. We're seeking to become a top destination for employers looking to expand existing businesses and entrepreneurs working to launch new businesses. Lowe's, do you know how I learned stuff? You know how I learned to fix my toilet?
By fixing it.
By fixing the damn toilet, Los. Instead of reading a book about fixing the toilet, I mean, that was helpful, but I didn't understand what the book was saying until I tried to fix the toilet and failed. And then I am not saying that you should not learn by reading, because I am the proof that reading books will save your life. There is nothing more important to me than reading books. You have to be able to apply it to some extent, especially if it's a how-to. I tried to fix the toilet. I failed. Then I looked at the book and said, "Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm there. I did step one. I did step two. Okay, let me try step three based on what the book was saying." Like, we have to connect work-based learning and project-based learning with some of our core content.
Exactly. A tailored experience.
Yes, absolutely. We have to invest in a lot of these opportunities because, unfortunately, we got to change the system. The system wants to stay the same. It takes a
Yeah,
lot of work. It takes a lot of work to change big systems.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
the upside to all of this is that change is happening. And we now
Mm.
learning more about this, we could propel that change. Um, Add a little
Yeah.
nitrous booster to it. So that change could happen
Oh,
quicker.
man,
And
you know about nitrous boosters too. See, you're a
stop,
brilliant man.
stop it.
You could be one of these mentors for a kid. Go mentor some kids, man. Go be a
I,
big brother.
I should be a big brother.
Yeah.
Be nice.
For
Um,
10 kids. A
oh, 10
hundred.
kids.
A
Whoa,
hundred.
easy.
Open your own school, Los.
Oh no.
You need to
Uh,
go have some kids, man.
a great conversation today about some of the innovations going on in education. But you have any final thoughts you want to share with the audience?
No, I want you to have final thoughts because I'm just some dumb big lummox. I want to hear I want to hear your final thoughts. I want to give us some sage advice, Los.
Well, the kids are the future, and we need to really take that seriously, and
Mm,
we need to help them create the best future, not just that they want to see, but that we
mm,
need. And so meet
okay.
them where they are
Yeah.
and then help them every step of the way. Equip them with the tools necessary to build and make their dreams come true.
Do you want to push back on any of this and say, like, well, hold on, play devil's advocate?
Sure, yeah, I there's obviously so many, I mean, hurdles in terms of when you speak of redesigning or changing systems. So some of the places there go people will go will be things like how much will this cost to implement? How much disruption will there be?
Mm.
How do you ensure this is an equitable change? Those are some of the questions there. Maybe I may want to push back on, like, what if the traditional path works for so many? Are we disrupting that? So
Oh,
mhm,
well, I would even push back and say, what's going to happen when some sort of company has predatory practices on these internship programs, and they
yeah.
say like, hey, this person's not playing by the specifications of these internships and apprenticeships. Like this person's milking the system to get some unpaid labor. That's not okay. There are some pitfalls that we have to watch out for. I know I had Kyle Hickman on my podcast one time. He works for Rebuilding Together,
Mhm.
goes into places of poverty where people own houses and they just don't have the money to fix their house, and he goes in and fixes the house for them, does some outstanding work. And he says you don't fix one problem without creating another. You don't pull the blanket out without exposing your feet. And so there will come some issues with these new um, programs, but if you prepare for them and we'll see what happens, and you try and make small innovations.
Absolutely. So, but the most important thing, as it is with starting a new project or a new task, is getting started. So I'm glad we're getting started. We're getting the conversation rolling here, and yeah, we'll
And
keep
Los,
checking in on that.
I want you to send me some pictures of your sneaker ideas. We're gonna get started on that too.
It's not so much sneakers anymore, but
We're gonna make the Los
still in that
ones
space.
with little
uh,
wings on the tips of the shoes.
Ooh, wings. That's been done, but yeah. But thanks, buddy. But hopefully y'all took a lot away from this. Hopefully this was helpful for you, shed some light on things actually being done. I know, especially when it comes to public education, primary education, we focus a lot around what's not going right. But we hopefully we presented you with some things that are actually going well. So that's our show for today. Make sure to subscribe, follow, share this podcast with all those who you know and love, and
Smash that like button.
smash that like. And yeah, we'll see you not just on the other side, but we'll see you on the upside. Take care.